Welcome back to another episode of the Mama Bears Rising Show. And today we have Carrie Bigford with Texans for Vaccine Choice. Not only is she a fierce advocate, but she is a dear friend of mine. And welcome to the show, Carrie. How are you?
I'm so happy to see you, Jess, and I'm so
Aw.
thankful to be here. It's always a
you.
wonderful time to see you, and I take any opportunity available to talk about medical liberty, Texans for Vaccine Choice, and outreach.
Yes. Well, welcome to the show.
Thank
Let
you.
those who have not heard about Texans for Vaccine Choice know a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay. Well, Texans for Vaccine Choice has been the premier medical liberty organization in Texas since it was created in 2015 in response to a bill that would have taken away all of the exemption rights for all of the children in Texas. And three moms got together and in the grand tradition of mothers said no, and Texans
right.
for Vaccine Choice was born. And
Yeah.
since that day, we have killed every bad bill that would have infringed upon your medical liberty rights.
Yes,
And
girl.
last year alone, we passed 5 pieces of protective legislation.
Wow.
So we are here to do the work to make sure that you maintain your right to informed consent, medical privacy, and vaccine choice.
That is so awesome. And I've shared on here before and many times in the past that even in Texas, we cannot take for granted that we will have medical freedom. You've seen that in this. Other things we talk about, whether it's transitioning children, all of these things, we cannot the right to home educate our children,
Yes.
whatever that is. It's really time that people stand up and they get engaged because we cannot just assume we're going to have those rights. So
Yes.
thank you for doing that. And you did not originally live in Texas, did you? So where did you live before that?
So I've actually been a medical liberty advocate for over 20 years. I started in California. I am a Californian, don't hate me.
We love California.
But we fought,
not the policy
there, and I lost my medical liberty rights. We did not do the full schedule with my children, and they were no longer allowed to be in any public school, private school, any type of anything, even extracurricular activities in California.
Wow.
So we moved to Colorado, and then we moved to Texas after that.
Okay. Yeah. And so you've really made your mark and you continue to. And so you definitely are a mama bear rising. And I love to when I meet people in life that have not only advocated and done that for their own children, but then people in general and children across the board, because when something isn't right, we are called to take a stand and do that. So can you share for Texans for Vaccine Choice, just some basic things that you and I may know, but it doesn't cease to amaze me, Carrie. And you and I've talked about this over lunch and different things. So many people still don't understand the law and that they have the option. So can you share just some basic things for someone who's like, I didn't even know this was an option?
Yeah. Well, I know that this podcast is nationwide, so I don't want to be just Texas specific.
Yes.
So there are things to be aware of as a vaccine recipient in general. And one of those is that the vaccine recipient themselves is the least legally and physically protected person in the vaccination process. Literally every single person in that process, from the manufacturer to the administrator to the government regulators, they have liability protection. But the vaccine recipient owns all the liability and the risk. And also, they have actual federal laws that have been passed that restrict your ability as a vaccine recipient to be made aware of the risks involved in the vaccination process. So you own all the risk. They don't have to tell you what that risk actually entails. And then they're even classified and regulated differently. So they're not a pharmaceutical drug. They have an entirely different standard. That different standard does not benefit the vaccine recipient in any way, shape, or form. And here in Texas, we have wonderful legal exemption rights because the schedule has exploded. I have a little handout here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can see just visually, you have what was and what is now. This is a single breeding generation. We went from 24 doses in 1983 to 81 recommended doses in 2024. And so because of that, it's important to know your legal exemption rights. Other states I've lived in did not have great legal exemption rights, but Texans have wonderful legal exemption rights, in no small part to Texans for Vaccine Choice, by the way.
That's right. So it didn't just happen, right? You have to be very intentional.
It didn't just happen. There was a bill proposed and those mothers got together and they said no, and they meant no. And they did what they had to do, and they came out of their shell, like so many of us have, to fight for what mattered to them. And so now in Texas, you do have exemptions. You have the Affidavit of Conscientious Belief exemption, which is a religious or a philosophical exemption combined into one. It is a simple form that you order from Dishes, the Department of Health and Human Services here in Texas. There is a link on our website, TexansForVaccineChoice.com. And you order this exemption form and you turn it into your school. The rules are, if you are a preschool or a daycare and you're licensed, you must accept the affidavit of exemption.
Okay.
If you encounter a preschool or a daycare who isn't honoring the exemption, give us a call because we do report them. We do follow up on those. We're very, very, honey badger-ish about it. Yeah. And then if you are a K through 12 school and you are publicly funded, which means you take even $1 of state education money, you must accept the affidavit of exemption. The only exception is if you are a K through 12 school who is 100% privately funded. Okay. Only then can they create their own immunization policy, which is less than 1% of K through 12 schools in the state of Texas. If you are looking at higher education, then any higher education, be it a trade school, be it a 2-year school, be it a 4-year school, they must also accept the affidavit of exemption. So there's lots of different options there. We also have a different type of exemption called a medical exemption, and that is something that is involved with your doctor. There isn't a form. Your doctor writes a letter. The affidavit of exemption is good for 2 years, right? So it's every 2 years you have to submit it. A medical exemption is annually. So you do have to have a physician who will write a letter letting whoever know that you won't be getting it because of medical reasons. You do have that option.
And I think that's something that I want to clarify here because I was telling you when I posted something this morning, they said, well, it's not so much the school, but it's the physician. So I think it's important to clarify that you have the option, at least in Texas and maybe some other states, that the physician's not involved in that. So,
no, an affidavit of exemption has absolutely nothing to do with your doctor. The affidavit exemption is a single document that's not even full of words that basically says, I'm so-and-so, this is my child, I'm declining these vaccines because I don't want them. It doesn't have any misleading language. Other states that have forms like that have misleading language. This is a very clear cut. It comes with a wonderful packet of benefits and risks to vaccination because, again, it's your choice. That's right. As you looked at the schedule, what if you wanted to do a 1983 vaccination schedule? You're definitely not against vaccinations because you're getting them, but you want to get something that fits your family.
And that's what I've learned through, I shared before Mama Bears Rising. I was, and still am, a certified holistic health coach. And that's something that we learned. It's bio-individuality.
Yes.
Every family is different. Every child is different, whether it's educating them differently every year or each child has different medical needs and chemical makeups and all these things. So I've done exemptions throughout the years, but there's been times when, my older children I was a new mom, so I didn't even know. I didn't even know I had a choice in it.
And because there's actual federal laws, they didn't have to tell you.
That's right. So it's not something, it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to mentor and share with those who don't know so then they can make an informed decision.
It's like there isn't a universal diet that works for everyone.
That's right.
Okay. So it seems ridiculous to think that there'd be a universal vaccination schedule. So maintaining the freedom to choose is paramount.
And to really look as a parent and, parents call the shots.
They do.
I'm like, hey, we're going to call the shots with our children.
Yeah.
And what really, thinking back, my oldest is 20 now, but when I really started making me think, okay, and we've said this over and over again, something wasn't right. I thought, okay, wait, you're going to give my baby girl who weighs this much the exact same as this baby boy that weighs, a lot more than she does. And they said, well, yes, it's standardized. And then when I kind of started questioning things, I said, well, what about, maybe it was an MMR that they do all the multiples.
Yeah.
And then I started looking into things. And this was, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I
said, a lot different.
Well, I don't want to do this all at the same time. And they said, yes, we do that because we don't want you to not come back. And right then I said, listen, this is my child. I'm the parent. I will come back as many times as I need to.
Yep.
Of course, after my second, I started giving less and less vaccines. But And I get it. Like, it's kind of like the school system in certain ways. They have to go by what some type of a standard that they do.
They have a standard of care.
But as a parent, we need to call the shots, and we need to say, the other people can do what they want, but for my child, this is what we're doing. And so I think it's very important to say, that's why I support organizations like yours that are nonpartisan. You aren't here to tell people what to think, but you want them to be informed. This is so serious. And something a lot of people have said throughout the years, you know, you put so much time into your vehicle, like your home that you're going to buy, but to put something in your body or your kid's body, it's like, okay, we're just going to do it. No, it's not okay.
The push to take away your desire to critically think about the vaccination process is very intentional.
Yes.
And drives me crazy personally, because vaccine injury is real, it's not rare, and it's often devastating.
Yes.
And we have so many people that come to us after the injury, and that is when they discover that they are completely responsible. So you need to approach that as like a car seat that you buy that has no warranty or liability, right? Because when you look for your kids, you want the safest car seat. You want the best safety record. You want to know that you can roll over down a mountain and your kid's going to be good, right? And you know that that's true because that manufacturer owns a liability. So if they lie about it and they've tested it independently, right? All the vaccine manufacturers do their own safety testing, and they have an entirely different standard than pharmaceutical drugs. And that standard does not benefit the vaccine recipient.
That alone, now that we're talking about it, I've never really thought about distinguishing. But once again, it's all in how it's set up, how it's portrayed. You just think, and I even thought—
You think that they're the
it's
same.
a drug and it's a pharmaceutical.
It is classified as a biologic.
Wow.
By the FDA, not a pharmaceutical drug. So it has a very different set of standards. And the sad reality is that right now in the United States of America, the veterinary vaccines have stronger safety metrics and requirements and, post surveillance than the human ones, because biologics don't have to have a, inert placebo, which means something that's inactive. They can use an active control. It doesn't have to have a minimum amount of time that the study goes. It doesn't have to have a minimum amount of people that participate. So that leaves a lot of room for injury. And as a vaccine consumer, it's important to protect yourself as a vaccine consumer and to do your research, because you are accepting all the liability and the risk that can happen. And those risks are real. In the same way that you wouldn't want to jump out of a plane without some training, you don't want to overload your body with, an unknown amount of toxicity for things that maybe don't apply to you. If you don't know what hepatitis B is and how it's transmitted, does your baby need it at birth? Like, you need to know why you're saying yes, why you're saying no.
Yes.
I'm not interested in influencing your decision, but I want you to know why you said yes, why you said no, and I want that decision to be private. It's not up for public display.
No. And so at our 2-year anniversary for Mama Bears Rising, I had a friend who is pregnant. And she brought up, man, I thought it was kind of odd that when I was growing up, I didn't have this many shots. And the doctor is telling me I need to tell my parents they need to have the whooping cough vaccine or they can't see, or to see my child.
Right.
And so thankfully there were some nurses there and they shared information in a very informed consent, matter of fact. And so I'm so thankful she was there. And I actually, that's who I purchased your Texans for Vaccine Choice, the birth baby bundle.
I love our bundle, our new parent informed consent bundle. Yeah, I brought a little, you probably can't see it on the camera, but we have an adorable little bundle. You can get it on our website in the shop. And it's our solution to help our supporters or people in general have the vaccine talk with their loved ones. It's a beautiful gift basket. It comes with an adorable little onesie, a cute little children's book. It has a non-biased, evidence-based, informed consent flowchart.
Nonpartisan. This is not a party issue.
We are Texans for Vaccine Choice. Emphasis on the choice.
Yeah.
So it walks you through an informed consent process for the schedule. It comes with lots of different evidence that you can cite and source. So you can really understand what you want to do. Because in the same way you agonize over cloth diapers, disposable diapers, formula versus breastfeeding.
What type of stroller?
Do I get on a stroller system? This is another layer, a vital layer.
Yes.
Because you can't unvaccinate the child. So it's an irrevocable medical decision. And while they absolutely do have benefit in certain situations, it's wise in any medical scenario to do your research, especially when you, as a vaccine recipient, or your child as a vaccine recipient, owns all the risk of harm.
Well, and also, like we've talked with in other things for medical freedom, just like a lot like when you're in the hospital, you're at a vulnerable position.
Yeah.
These moms, especially as a first-time mom, I remember back to being a first-time mom, anything from me wanting to breastfeed, and no one I knew did that, and being discouraged by the nurse and being told I couldn't because I had to go under for my daughter. I kind of joke. She's like, she cut me on the way out, And so she announced her way in the world.
Yeah.
And so they had to put me under and they were like, well, you probably can't nurse. She's probably not going to latch on.
Mhm.
And they gave her the little bottle. And I said, I want to try, and she did. So I'm thinking back to those days that yes, I'm the Mama Bear Rising now, the mentor, but we need to help these moms who are new. And when you're pregnant, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do anything.
Yes, like they leave you with your baby and you're like, but what now? Like, how am I going to, I barely keep my houseplants alive.
Yeah. And then you're being told, well, your baby may die, and so it's that psychological warfare of, making you feel guilty for this. And we just want them to know the information.
Absolutely.
And what she was saying too, is even during the pregnancy, they're, being told to get these different shots and they need to know the risk just as much as the benefits that they're saying, but then also, what is behind that benefit? Where are you getting that from?
Right.
And also, Carrie, too, as we're talking, the definition of a vaccine, some of these shots, they're not even by definition a vaccine.
They've actually changed
Can we
the
talk
definition.
about that?
Well, they've changed the definition of a vaccine. But I want to go back to the mamas really quick because I have that same heart.
Yeah.
For all the parents, like I want them to know you have a choice.
Yes.
You have a voice. Do your research calmly. Know what your legal rights are. You have exemptions. You
Try
don't
to take
have
the
to
emotion
vaccinate.
out of it.
Absolutely. Like hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is a sexually transmitted disease that is spread through, the exchange of bodily fluids through promiscuity or for the sharing of IV drug needles. We also routinely check all pregnant women in the United States for hepatitis B, so there aren't any unknowns very much anymore.
Yes.
So the question is, why are we giving a vaccine for sexually transmitted disease on the first day of life in the first 12 hours of birth? And also, do you really know how healthy and strong your baby is on the first day of life? You just know that they survived coming out of the chute, right?
Yeah.
But you don't know if they have any other confounding factors that could put them at risk of receiving hepatitis B. So you as a parent, you don't have to do it in the hospital. A great magical phrase, if you're ever pressured in a hospital, mamas or papas, is to say, thank you so much for having concern. We're going to bring this up with our pediatrician at our first follow-up appointment. Thank you. Right?
Yes.
That's what you want to do. It gives that hospital staff the ability to say, okay, we're not going to push this person. And it also doesn't force a confrontation because, you just had a baby. I know what that's like. I've had 3 of them.
Yeah.
You're not really like in a place to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And so it's good to just know you don't have to do it then.
And that's another thing too, because if you are a first-time parent, or maybe even if you've had multiple children but never thought to ask, you might think, I needed this right now.
Yeah.
If I take the baby home and they, they're outside from here to the car, something could happen.
How will your newborn come in contact with hepatitis B if you are a no negative and your partner is a no negative? What scenario is going to precipitate that transmission? Because it's not like a cold where it's airborne and highly infectious, or norovirus, the stomach virus.
Yeah.
Also, again, highly infectious. It's a very activity-specific pathogen. So, my children were not being promiscuous or using IV drugs for their first, 8 weeks of life.
It's just, and when you look at it that way, and when you break it down, take out the emotion. Try to neutralize. It's not confrontational. Now I have more information to make an informed decision about this one.
Absolutely.
And then you can just go down the line.
Do that each time. Like you don't have to overwhelm yourself. Start at the beginning. If you're pregnant, start with the ones they want to give at birth and 2 months, right?
Or even to you as a pregnant mom.
Yes. Really be cautious with the pregnancies. They don't have any, they don't study pregnant women in vaccines. And they don't have any evidence to support safety. What they say is they have no evidence to prove harm, but that's because there's no evidence, period.
That's right.
And as a pregnant person who's told not to eat tuna or sushi or coffee or wine or lunch meat because of fears of that getting into the baby, those vaccines have very toxic ingredients in them that have not been tested in pregnancy that could cause harm.
Yeah.
And to not inform a mother that, oh, we've never studied this in your population is a mistake. And it doesn't serve that mother. Because again, I know women who were pregnant, and had the vaccines at 20 weeks like they were recommended, and their child died.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a real thing. And if I know real people with my limited circle of influence in the world,
yes,
the data dictates that this is a big problem. Yeah. And it's heart-wrenching. I will never forget my friend that lost her twins right after the DTaP vaccine.
Oh.
And it's never been the same. And it's important to recognize that those injuries do happen and that you are vulnerable.
Yes.
And to just be an informed patient. The same way that you research everything else you put into your body, it's important to research vaccination too.
And that's something that when I started speaking out against hospital protocols, and it had no clue it would turn into the movement and Mama Bear's Rising and what it is today.
Same.
And when I spoke out about that, obviously, as you can imagine, people wouldn't respond online, but then they would reach out to me behind the scenes.
Yep.
Well, then I started meeting people like you and React 19 that were vaccine injured people were reporting to, and just a lot of other great organizations. Yeah. But when I look back, I don't regret speaking up. I actually wish I were even bolder sooner, because I had very dear people to me who did choose to do these things, and pregnant women at the time. And I understand, where they were coming from. No one really knew what COVID was, what was going to happen. We didn't, the general people.
The fear was so high. And
they made it difficult to give birth and have a baby in there. And if you didn't, you were ostracized or you were made like, I experienced this with one of my daughters even just a year and a half ago, because she wasn't vaccinated for the most recent stuff. They were like, well, we're going to put this on outside your door and write it there. And we've got a double mask. And I said, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. But eventually, as nurses went on and the stay went on, they did less and less. But now imagine being a mom during the height of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
You're already scared to death because you're pregnant.
Yep.
And it's already
you're in labor with a mask on.
You're in labor with the mask on.
Or behind a plexiglass screen.
Oh, it was, and I know several people and also a family member who gave birth during that time. And so looking back now, it's almost, and I've talked before about the cognitive dissonance. Like, it's so crazy. You don't even, some people don't even want to realize it's going on, but like people looking through the window and trying to, I remember when it was my daughter-in-law, they were trying to like park somewhere and try to sneak in the window. I mean, how horrible is that?
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like, I get it. It's no judgment. It's like but what does make me upset is that there are people behind these things that do know what's going on.
Right.
And they know exactly how they're messaging to these people. And it's not okay.
No.
So I will speak up and I will not stop. And I will encourage other people, like with Mama Bear's Rising. You are not alone.
No.
We say no, grow, and show.
Yeah.
No, you're not alone. Connect with trusted resources, grow in your mom or your faith journey, and then show others. So we're called, when it's brought to our attention, let's share it, because that next person, that might be a seed that we plant that they need. So
and also to let people know that there is approaches to sharing that can up your success. Right? Because, humans are big communicators. We're a social species. The way that you approach a conversation will largely dictate how that conversation goes. Right?
Yeah.
And so at TFEC, as you know, we believe in you and your ability to make a difference. And our entire program is built to bring out your authentic voice, right? I have my voice, you have yours. I want us all to sing in harmony.
Yeah.
And so we have actual training that's communications class to teach you how to have this emotionally driven, polarized, politicized topic conversation with people that you know and people that you don't know. So a lot of people, they don't talk because they've had it go sideways in the past, right?
Yes.
Because they get triggered, the other person gets emotional, and then it just falls apart. right?
Mm-hmm.
We have created clear, easy to
Yes.
follow tools, right? There are 4 basic steps whenever you're connecting with someone on a difficult topic like this,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You prepare yourself first, right? Get yourself ready. Have an idea of what particular information you want to share,
Mm-hmm.
right? Make sure that you are regulated, which means you're willing to hear their perspective.
Yes.
When you're willing to connect with them and put yourself on the side, that's when you know you're prepared. And then you connect, right? Which is your ability to gain their willingness to hear it from you, right?
Yes.
Because you can have the perfect words, the magical words. But if they don't want to hear it from you, guess what? They don't. They go in one ear and out the other. And what you need to do is bring that person into you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you prepare yourself, you connect with that person, you gain their willingness to hear it from you. And then you inform them very specifically. You want to have a plan about what information you want to share with them. And then afterwards, you allow, right? Because outreach is true love. And true love allows, honors, and appreciates. Attachment is what grasps, needs, and demands.
Mm-hmm.
You allow your loved one to absorb that information and have that real behavioral shift, because we're not going for a surface shift. We need that person to recognize that every person in a body with a pulse needs and deserves medical liberty in their lives.
That's right.
I'm not here to control you. TFEC is not here to control you, but I'm going to fight till the end of my days to make sure that your voice in the conversation of you is never silenced.
Yeah.
And that is allowing. You allow them to have their own voice, their own decision. You don't decide for them. You accept where they are.
Yeah. And just looking back, so many relationships have been severed and damaged through this. And
I have ideas to help you heal those, because that is a thing that happens.
And it's ongoing, right?
Yes.
So now several years out,
Right.
yes, people are starting to see, and they're starting to say either, wait, I'm not going to take this, or I'm not going to take a booster, or whatever it is.
I don't want booster number 10.
Yeah, I don't want booster number 10, which, oh, by the way, actually I can get it again. So, but it's showing that truth and love. We're friends, we're dear friends. And I said, there's a lot of truth seekers and speakers out there, but their delivery is confrontational.
Yes. They come
so
in
you
hot.
have to say, what is my purpose here?
Right.
If I'm loving this person,
Absolutely.
I'm going to approach it, and that's going to come through.
Yes.
And so I've wanted to be a resource where people can know that now I can go, either I know more or I know better.
Yep.
Where can I get more? Not it's in a negative way or confrontational.
Absolutely. Right.
Because I have people that I really love.
Yeah.
And they're all in different situations. So I don't, I wasn't working at a job or anything.
Yeah.
So I can't really put myself in those people's shoes, and none of us can, right? We have our own walk.
Right.
So I love what y'all do there as well. And I am a personal sponsor as well for y'all, because I love what you're doing.
Right.
And it's giving the resources. Hey, let's be honest. A lot of people in our own lives and just in our families and marriages and as a parent, we struggle having certain conversations. So when it's this heightened, you do need to look at a resource, take a step back and say, okay, what is my intention?
Yep.
And a lot of times we want to share our opinion.
And your opinion is not an advocacy tool necessarily.
That's right. It's not Jessica's opinion or Carrie's opinion. Now, if someone asks you as a friend or family member,
you have an opinion. We all do.
I have an opinion, and then but this is what you do.
Yeah.
But I love that too. It's that non-confrontational.
Yeah. I mean, outreach at its core is a cooperative activity whose primary goal is connection. If you're having confrontations, you are having ineffective outreach encounters.
That's right.
Because
regardless of the topic.
Regardless of the topic, right? When they're running away, when they're telling you to, go take a long walk off of a short pier, that was not a successful outreach encounter. A successful outreach encounter leaves that person with the feeling of being treated well.
Yeah.
And with something evidence-based that brings them closer to your perspective.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you, Carrie, so much for being on the show today. Can you let everyone know how to find out more and how to get involved?
Absolutely. I love willing hearts. So if you have a willing heart to help, you can go to TexansForVaccineChoice.com. There is lots and lots and lots of information there. If you want to get involved and volunteer, we really do have the support to help you be successful. And we have pathways for outreach that are effective, that for any personality type, any type of lifestyle, we have something for you. That's on our website under our volunteer page. You can also look up all the things about the laws and our historical bill lists, all the work we've been doing at the Capitol on our resources page. And you can find me at Carrie at TexansForVaccineChoice.com.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. We'll have a lot more conversations on the app and I'm sure on other shows as well. So thanks for being here.
I'm in, Jess. I'm in.
Yes, I love it. Well, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Mama Bears Rising Show. Make sure you connect with us on Instagram, on Facebook. You can find us at the app, our app at mamabearsrising.com. And you can find this episode and more by downloading the For the One Studios app. And we'll see you next time.